And some of those friendships that I made earlier on in the year, like Ash and Fred, they really opened up my eyes.
Open up the safe, bitches got a lot to say.
To the truth that I was running from. And sometimes the truth hurts. You can't handle the truth. And I couldn't. But it must be heard sometimes. As much as it hurts. And so I basically realized that there's only so much reassurance that you can get from others when you yourself are so insecure that as well as they do it, it's not enough. It's never sufficient. It's always gonna be needing more. You're always gonna be needing more if you're dependent on that. And that was one of my problems. You know, the truth is, I do care what others think about me. But it doesn't stop there. Like, even someone that I've known for a very long time has shown me some flaws as well. Like, I just care way too much and I invest into people whom may not even care to exert that much energy into the relationship back, whether it's platonic or non-platonic. And you know, I just overworked myself in trying to connect with someone. I was forcing myself, you know, I was doing that challenge thing, and it just never worked out. You know, I always look back to instances and I'm like, bro, why did you say that? Or like, you went all the way there to support your quote unquote friend, and all you can say, even though you're fascinated, even though you're impressed, as much as you were, all you can say is, hey, good job, man. And that's it. The whole end of the show, that's all you can say, and you fled. You fled. You had, you know, a couple of instances where you could have jumped in, but no, you fled. And I was, and during this time, I'm like, what the fuck, man? And then I'm also praying, you know, for some answers, you know, that I really didn't know where to go. In addition, my family was also affected by this. This opened up a door to a discussion on, you know, my whole thing with my head, and I think some type of anxiety. I'm not diagnosed, but you know, something like that. And because we don't really get into talks like this, it's really uncomfortable. And maybe that's my fault because I'm not that open to them. And we haven't really ever been. Yeah, it led to the idea of seeking counseling because she did too, and she was like, sometimes we need to get that type of help. Sometimes we need to talk to someone like that, a professional. And I was like, I don't know. But I did look into some therapists, and I'm like, I don't know if I can go into Kaiser and be like, oh, can I request for a Christian-based therapist? You know, it seems kind of discriminatory. And to be completely honest with you, because I was on this road of trying to change myself or improve myself by challenging and working towards these goals, putting all this effort and time and energy into that, I felt like I didn't move at all. I'm just back at square one again, and all of that was for nothing. And so I made it a point, as soon as the break comes, I knew that I had to do something, at least. Something spiritually and mentally gathering myself back together again and getting myself back to a healthy state. Because right now, during that fall, I was hopeless. And remember when I told you that I'm pretty slow when it comes to educating myself and retaining? Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to do for the winter break too is keeping myself busy in note-taking and kind of getting myself to read so that I am prepared for the new semester, right? And so I was digging into this closet filled with books that were throughout my childhood, right? And I'm just in there trying to find like a notebook or something. And I come across this book, The Search for Significance. And I didn't think much of it because, you know, I saw it back then and I was like, I don't know, whatever. And I saw this as a first step towards where I was headed for. You know, rewiring my mind and recentering myself back onto Christ and keeping myself busy literally. But it doesn't stop there. Remember when I told you that I've been praying for God to give me an answer or like trying to lead the way for certain questions that I had in my head? So there was this particular night, it was also in the beginning of the break, and I had finally gotten it. You know, I finally gotten closure, and I finally felt like the weight, a big chunk of weight was lifted off of me, and I felt like I was ready. Like I was ready to, you know, get into this and really focus on my well-being. And immediately later that particular night, I get a message from an old friend back from high school. It was not Fred, it was not Legacy Media, but it was Young David. Young, 사는네. Nah, but seriously, like it's a big thanks to you. I know I told you a bunch of times, but it's really thanks to him, and I'll always remember that, even though it was just a random thing for him as well. And also, I want to congratulate him on graduating this year from UCB, Berkeley, and good luck, and I'm praying for your new journey in medical school. I believe it's in another state, and so I hope and pray, you know, your whole situation and where you're gonna live and everything sorts out real soon. And yeah, much love, man. Much love. Take care. And what was crazy was that last year we had actually talked about our home church and a little bit of our faith, because I came across a photo on his Facebook timeline and I realized, you know, he was at his home church, and I was like, oh dang, I didn't know you're a Christian, man. Like, where do you go and whatnot? And then we talked a bit, and so literally this is a year later, and he out of nowhere gives me an invite and tells me about this event called Higher Calling. And he basically explained it, and he was like, it's gonna be during New Year's, and it's gonna be life-changing, and it's called a Christian conference. And I was like, Christian conference. I've never heard of that before, but I'm guessing it's like a small group fellowship or something. And I go into the site, he linked me, and I was looking through it, and it's like a huge event. And I look deeper, and I realize the theme is called Worthy. And I look back into this, and it's the search for significance. And I felt like everything just came together like almost perfectly. Like this was a huge random step that was just thrown at my way like out of nowhere. But obviously it was, God's planning, and I was like, holy that's crazy. No, but really, I was like, the whole time I was reading, I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. Like, I literally had to call up, actually I did end up talking to Fred. I was like, yo, Fred, like, I gotta tell you this, because I had been informing him about like these questions that I had in my head and stuff, and I told him that I finally got the answers, and then now this comes along and I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy, And so there were two barriers. Expenses were not a thing, but it was the timing and how I was gonna get there, transportation, and the fact that I accidentally joined a cult one time, and one of my youth leaders had to break it to me. So that's why I went to another youth leader and verified with him. Not to offend you, Hyung, but I just had to ask him about it. And he went through it, and he had actually recognized one of the pastors that was going to be a guest speaker for them. And he was like, yeah, this is going to be a life-changing event. And, that was a green light. And I was worried that my family or my parents were going to be concerned because this was an older friend that I wasn't knowing as a long time. And we live in different cities. Transportation wise was gonna be issue. And so after some time, they were